city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtrothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is Zoria, my co-pilot, being a puppy. And it is January 30th, YC127, and this is the Eve Universe show. Hey, Zoe. Zoe's so happy that she doesn't have her cone anymore. Welcome, 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 guys. How's it going? Oh, boy. Oh, yep, get comfortable. All right. It is the Eve Universe show. And we have stuff to talk about, finally. Yay! So there was a roadmap that was talked about on Tuesday. I was supposed to go live on Tuesday, but, well, my son didn't want to go to school, and we had to have a giant argument about it, and that got in the way of things. But luckily, I guess, for those of us who couldn't stream on Tuesday, the 2025 Director's Chat was somewhat lackluster. And we've seen a giant, I guess, growing dissatisfaction within nullsec for various reasons. Although I think it's kind of funny how much like they're kind of eating their own at the moment because of there's the people complaining and the people shitting on the people complaining. But then all of that changed today when the drifters finally began their attack, or at least should be starting their attack any second now if they haven't already. So this is a breaking news kind of stream. We're waiting to see as things develop. But in the meantime, we're going to cover kind of what's going on. Bye, Zoe. All right, so let's start with Tuesday with the 2025 and Beyond Director's Chat. They talked a lot about kind of what was going on in 2024 and revealed the setup for 2025. Now, one thing that's noted about this is that there's not a lot of information on here. There certainly isn't a lot of new information on here. And that got me honestly a little worried, right? Like we did at the end of the stream, like at the end of year stream, we talked about everything that happened in 2024. And overall, I kind of came to the idea that it was a little bit lackluster. It felt thin, right? And so we were kind of hoping that we see this big stuff coming this year. And with everything kind of the Revenant expansion was less of like a thing. Now, granted, it did add a bunch of stuff. It added new ships. It added the mercenary den and all that sort of stuff. But the biggest thing it did was add a promise for the future, right? The entire focus of the Revenant expansion was about something is coming, right? This is the calm before the storm. And so we've been waiting for this coming thing, this turn of the plot towards the drifters that we've been kind of seeing build up through 2024. But Revenant really promised to step up with the conflict between the Deathless specifically and the drifters, and how this relates to the empires and all that sort of stuff, leading to a New Eden news last year of the Federation releasing new evidence of future drifter attacks. And this is kind of where we left off with, right? So we know that there's stuff coming, and there has been all kinds of different drifter style events happening throughout the last year. We have everything from deep flow rifts to the abyssal battlefields to the trust breaker arrays and whatnot that came out, all these different some short-term sites that lasted only a couple of weeks here and there, but showed that there's this building tension and technological arms race between the drifters, the empires, and the Deathless. And that supposedly, allegedly the waiting is over. So here we are at today, where we get Revenant update, right? So one of the things that they talked about during this live stream is this idea that and I think I'll be frank with you. I believe that this was just fluff. This is just sales pitch, right? And I'll explain why in a second. But a big thing that they focused on was the fact that the expansions are not like a one and done sort of deal, right? That expansions come out and then further updates happen throughout that expansion, right? So we see the summer expansion here, and we see summer expansion update in Q3. We see Revenant update when Revenant was released as the winter expansion of the previous years, right? And so this idea of like, well, just because the expansion's out yet doesn't mean that it's done. You know, this is an important thing, especially for Revenant, but it seems like they're trying to set this up for the future too. The reason why I think this is odd is because this has always been the way it is. You know, EVE Online has always had these 6-month, well, not always, but outside of the time period that it didn't have expansions, they had expansions every 6 months. And you had the big expansion that came out with the, you know, the main features of that expansion, but then there would be further follow-ups after that that continue to roll out that expansion until the next one, right? So this idea that an expansion continues to roll out throughout the expansion isn't new, but they are trying to get us to think about it in those terms in a much more concrete way now. So, like I said, I don't think this is as much of like a new way of doing things than highlighting the way these things are done, right? Like a good example is Odyssey, or not, I think it was Inferno. The Inferno expansion changed faction warfare, but it wasn't until later in Inferno did they change faction warfare to be the way that we know of it now, right? Like big changes can happen midway through an expansion. And I feel like that's all they were talking about. A big piece of the discussion that I saw on Tuesday, watching the last Frontier Q&A and the EVE Online vlog, I just got the impression Frontier have devs that want to inject the things I'm fed up with in EVE Online. So I do have a concern. If there is like a nightmare scenario that's going on, it's that, so a lot of the people who are working on EVE Online now are not the original creators of EVE Online. And I'm not saying that to say like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not the OGs. They don't know. Quite the opposite. The OGs of EVE Online were not necessarily great programmers. These are guys who learned how to develop in order to build EVE Online. And EVE Online was something that was completely unheard of at the time, design-wise. And so they were, you know, forging new grounds, and they were limited by the technology and the expertise that they had at that time, right? Now, the staff that CCP has are mostly people who have joined the team after EVE Online was already a thing. So these are people that believe in what EVE Online is and promises to be, but they're beholden to what EVE Online is. And as time goes on, that being beholden to what EVE Online is becomes a bigger and bigger constraint upon those development efforts, right? So like Scarcity is a good example of CCP deciding to do the unpopular things in spite of the fact that they're unpopular for the good of the game, and making some pretty significant changes in how market, industry, mining, all that kind of stuff works. But even then, there's only so much that they could do, right? Because unlike a brand new game, EVE Online already has a way that it is. So anything that you try to do to fix EVE will be mapped to the way it was before. Like, for instance, when Equinox came out, none of the nullsecers evaluated Equinox on its own merit. They evaluated it under the metrics of what was before, right? Rather than look at the absolute terms of what is available and what is not available, they only looked at it in terms of how it is different than what is before, which led to them seeing it as being what was removed, missing, and different than before, worse less of a positive experience for them than it was before. So every change that they do now must pass this muster of being interpreted as a change as opposed to a design, right? Whereas Eve Frontiers increasingly feels like a dream game for the developers of EVE Online, right? A chance for a new slate where there is no solid expectations about what this really looks like in the moment to moment. And all you have is these high level design document, lofty goals that haven't necessarily been implemented yet. And so the thing is that regardless of whether or not that is something that is exciting for players, that is something that's exciting for developers, right? Because these are people that like look at Jotun, right? Jotun's a great example. Jotun is a CCP, or sorry, an EVE Online player who was hired to be brought on Frontiers. This is a guy who lives and breathes EVE Online. He fucking loves EVE Online so goddamn much that he became a CSM member about it. He wouldn't stop talking about it, and now he works on it, right? But like, he's married to what to the dream of what EVE Online is as like a design concept, right? But you're still bound by the realities of what EVE Online is, but EVE Frontiers is not bound by those same expectations. And so I can see where they can be really, really excited about what that means. And I'm concerned that CCP as a development team might be very excited as to the potential of what Frontiers means from them, not just as from a crypto point of view, but just from a, we get to remake EVE Online the way we think it should be, not the 20 years of detritus that has been built up on the EVE Online game as it is right now, right? And whether or not that's true as like an actual way of evaluating that, I have a concern that there are those in the dev team that have that mentality, and that ultimately could be what makes the conflict or this like the tension between Frontiers and EVE Online. We don't know it yet, obviously. And in fact, I think that we kind of saw the first hints of the opposite of that, right? Where it's almost like we have two camps. We have the EVE Frontiers people that say, okay, well, if we start from scratch, we can do it the way we want to do it, right? And then there's the EVE Online developers that are like, wait, if we just keep building the tech, we can hit the goals of EVE Frontiers in EVE Online. And I'll explain that in just a second. Hold on. As a relatively new player, I was hoping maybe they would do something in terms of dynamic events where the outcome is decided based on player actions or something. They have absolutely done that before, Shiro. To limited success, because honestly, even when CCP gives us the ability to declare the outcome by our actions, players still like to give them shit for it being scripted or whatever, just like the invasion system. You know, there is no Stargate right now. There is no Stargate from Intaki to Othanoon because the Caldari locked out the Galente efforts in 2021. I think it was that they did that effort. So that Stargate just doesn't exist anymore. There's now a Stargate from from Othanoon. Sorry, from Othanoon to not Intaki. It was Othanoon to. Oh God, hold on. Where does Intaki link to now? Give me a second. As soon as I see the name, I'll know it. Amignon. So there was originally going to be a Stargate from Amignon to Othanoon. Yeah, I should be able to bring up the faction warfare map, right? There was going to be a Stargate from Amignon right here all the way to Othanoon over here, right? So it would link from here to here. But the Caldari managed to lock down this entire cluster and hold off Othanoon. So now the Samanooni to Othanoon Stargate exists because they successfully built that Stargate, but the Othanoon to Mignon Gate was never made. That Stargate got impounded, and so instead they connected a Mignon to Intaki, and so that Stargate exists when it didn't before. And this, of course, leads to Intaki being built up, and it went from being a low-sex system to being a high-sex system. We don't necessarily know whether or not that was going to happen without this Stargate being made. But the point is that this, I can tell you for a fact that there would have been an Othanoon to a Mignon Stargate, but the players failed to build it. That's just one example. The other example is the 27 systems of Pachvin. Each one of those was captured by player action. And there are plenty of systems that didn't get captured because of player actions as well. So they do these kinds of things, but honestly, they haven't been as popular as you would think, as you would hope them to be. Just because the players are really good at shitting on things, I guess, is a good way of putting it. So, but back to the roadmap. So the first thing about the roadmap that a lot of people noticed and made a lot of people mad is how fucking blank it is, right? It feels like our roadmap is getting worse and worse every year. And I remember talking about it last year and being like, ugh, this doesn't really give us anything. And this one feels even worse. So I decided to look it up so that way we could see to make sure how it's kind of descended over time. So here is 2024's roadmap, right? We see Vanguard playtests, Havoc update, Summer expansion, Capsuleer Day, Vanguard, Winter expansion, Vanguard, Crimson Harvest, Winter Nexus. So we can see, if you look at this roadmap, it's basically the same exact roadmap, but with Vanguard removed, right? You have Havoc update, which is now Revenant update. The one thing is that they have the Eve Summer expansion update. This is their big thing where it's like, oh yeah, the Summer expansion update is going to continue all the way through Q3, right? That was the big thing that they're trying to sell us on. New dev blog out. Hey, great. We'll look at this in just a second. Is there a new universe? New news? Nope, not yet. Okay, so the thing is that, like, there was a lot of consternation. There's a lot of complaining last year about how much of the roadmap was focused on Vanguard. So we can see Vanguard, and Vanguard. In fact, if we take out Vanguard, we have Havoc update, Summer expansion, Capsuleer Day, Alliance tournament, Winter expansion, Crimson Harvest, Winter Nexus. And if we come here, we can see, oh my God, Revenant update, Summer expansion, FanFest. Oh, we didn't have FanFest last year. Capsuleer Day, Alliance tournament, Winter expansion, Alliance tournament, Crimson Harvest, Winter Nexus. And so basically all we see is the removal of Vanguard from the roadmap. Does this mean that we're not getting Vanguard this year? Absolutely not. I would not suggest that at all. I think that what happened was there was a lot of buzz about Vanguard last year, and so the roadmap was focused a lot on Vanguard. And a lot of people didn't like that. And so this year's online EVE Online roadmap seems to be focused 100% on EVE Online, not on EVE Vanguard. I assume that there's going to be more information about that elsewhere. But it's also worth noting, if we go all the way back to the good roadmap, we can see that in 2023, this was the roadmap. And this is the roadmap that we always kind of look at and be like, oh, yeah, they had so much, right? And so we see here, direct enlistment, faction campaigns, Lunar New Year's, EVE Excel, Capsuleer Day, EVE expansion, Alliance tournament, FanFest, expansion, Halloween, Winter Nexus. So this is the exact same roadmap. This is the exact same roadmap. The only difference is that by this point that year, we had more information about what was coming later in that year, because they'd been later in that Q1, because they had actually talked about some of it. So, you know, and a lot of it was like them following up with things. So Lunar New Year celebration and Chinese localization. I mean, that's happening technically right now, but it's just a business deal. Like, it's just skins and stuff, which is, by the way, all it was then too, pretty, from what I remember. So, you know, that it doesn't make any sense for that to be celebrated here. So this update here is actually just what was here, but it's broken out in 2023, and it was lumped together because they haven't told us what else is coming in Revenant this year. Besides that, these are basically the exact same roadmap every single year. So it's not, I mean, sure, it's not this great prediction of stuff. They didn't tease anything huge to let us know. There's no like, hey, by the way, there's a promise of a PI rework in Revenant or something like that, which would have been good. But honestly, it's pretty consistent with what they've been doing. I imagine they're holding off info due to FanFest coming. That's a good point, too. So with no FanFest last year and FanFest being late the previous year, it makes sense that they're talking about stuff that they're doing earlier in 2003 and less talking about it now, because, you know, FanFest is what leads into the summer expansion, and the rest of Revenant should lead up to FanFest. But we still, it would have been nice to get more information about what's going in this giant block. Really, if you look at it, that's the thing that's missing. Even this Vanguard playtest made it look a little bit more fleshed out. We don't know what's coming. Okay, that's the big spoiler. Now, the kicker about the thing that I got from the video, the big thing that I got from watching CCP's live stream, one of the things I like to pay attention to is not just what are they announcing, but what are they geeking out about? What has got them excited? You know, like back here, actually, it wasn't even then. Like, as we were leading up towards, say, Uprising, for example, I remember CCP wasn't saying very much, but they were really excited. Actually, Uprising's a bad example because we knew a lot about Uprising before Uprising, but I mean, like, before FanFest, before Uprising, I guess is a good idea to put it, is that, like, CCP was really, really, really excited about what they had to offer. And it ended up being pretty cool, right? The thing that I have no idea what that was. The thing I feel I've been missing from CCP in their presentations is this sense that they are excited about the thing that they're working on, right? Regardless of whether or not they're telling us about it, whether or not they think that what they're working on is something particularly cool. And I did see some of that in this presentation. However, it was surrounding around something that, like, I didn't expect, which is the tech itself. So this has happened before in CCP development history, but this could very well be one of the reasons why it feels like there's a lack of content at the moment. which is that CCP seems to be working on tools that they are very excited about, that I'm not sure if we've necessarily seen the full potential of, right? A lot of this stuff is about authoring tools. And the big key that brings all of this together for me is the way they talked about mercenary dens, okay? And it got me to think about mercenary dens and it got me to think about Eve Frontiers, right? So Eve Frontiers has a concept where you can have smart structures, right? That you can program and put on the blockchain. But the whole point is that, like, it's a structure that you put in space that you can code how it behaves to add all kinds of different functionality. So that way you could build marketplaces, so that way people can trade in stuff to get something back. You could do player-built stargates that have connections. You can add, but one of the other things that they talk about is like player-built missions, right? And this idea of player-built missions, player-built content, is something that CCP has been pretty focused on for the last year or two without us really catching on to it, right? And a lot of this comes down to the opportunities. So they came out with opportunities, which are these different tasks that corporations can put out for their membership and put rewards on it. And it can be anything from, turning in items that you've built, to mining stuff, to salvaging, to killing things, to doing logistics. Over time, they've added more and more things that they can monitor for and put hooks into for reward. And that is a big piece of the thing that they've talked about that they're excited about, right? Is all of the new ways that they can track what's going on, and therefore new things that they can put in for us to make our own custom version of it. And this leads to the mercenary dens and the warden, okay? The mercenary den is interesting because, so you've got the skyhook. The skyhook is an integral part of the nullsec revamp. So you place down skyhooks, it theoretically replaces, it practically replaces the planetary customs office, but it also provides new logistics in the form of new items and considerations for things like sovereignty in the event that you need personnel or power, as well as new opportunities for logistics and raiding in the terms of the fact that lava and ice planets build up stuff that then need to be taken to other places for nullsec to operate, or it can be robbed by other people to use elsewhere, right? So when you put down one of these things, you're taking a Poco and you're turning it into a little it's got a little bit more to it, right? It's got some built-in activities. It's got some built-in considerations that kind of, and it changes the conditions of that solar system and even potentially adjacent solar systems, depending on how nullsec arrange themselves, right? Yeah, more sand in the sandbox. That's true. But then let's look at mercenary dens. Mercenary dens are a thing that a person can deploy on a skyhook, as long as it's an eligible skyhook, i.e. a temperate one. But once it's deployed, it generates its own resource over time that can be collected only by the person who does it. It can be destroyed by other people, so that way they can loot the stuff out of it. But more importantly, it spawns sites for people, right? It spawns sites specifically for the person that owns it. It spawns sites for someone. It spawns a site for someone. A player-built structure is creating events in space outside of itself. That is the giant breakthrough that we all missed. If you want to think about it, the mercenary den is a mission machine. It's a mission authoring tools it's a mission authoring tool that generates missions for one person. But by those very rules, it could be for anyone. So if we wanted to, we could make a mercenary den that you put up, right? And you load it with some ISK. How is this different from Abyss? It's in the world. Somebody else could scan you down and go do it. It's a mission. So like in the future, you could be going around HiSec, right? Run into a mercenary den that's been set up, and it'll be like, hey, we need you to do this. And if you accept it, it spawns the mission for you to go and do, and then pays you for it afterwards. That mission, that site, and everything that has to do with it exists because that player put down that structure. It is player-built missions. Now, this is a small piece of it, right? But, like, that's why they're so excited about this tech and why we are all confused by it. Because to us, this feels like just another silly thing that we're putting out there. But to them, this is a functionality that is new and extremely exciting, right? Yes. Again, we're not worried about the details of how it plays out. The point is the possibilities, because the next possibility could be different, right? It's a mercenary den, right? What if you could just put up one of these things and it could basically be a bounty board, right? That people could go and do stuff, and it'll have other effects on it, right? You could put these things in a system, and it's like, okay, well, this is my Sancha one, and as you're putting it out, as you put it out, then when people go and do stuff with it, it'll influence the amount of Sancha effects within that system or whatever, right? These are ways for players to control the terrain of the battle and kind of help or hurt various empires or factions or whatever they want to do based on the tools that are deployed. In other words, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get some of the stuff that Frontiers was trying to do when it comes to like these deployable structures that allow players to basically cooperatively affect the sandbox, but they're bringing it into EVE Online and its tech through things like the mercenary dens. And these are small pieces, but we have all these new different sites and stuff that utilize different capabilities for things like home fronts and with the drifter attacks. And the mercenary dens represent a technology that CCP can build off of in order to build communal objectives. So right now, all corp projects must be within the corporation, right? But now I can make a mercenary. So right now I want to build 100 Imicuses, right? I can put up an opportunity for my corporation to build 100 Imicuses. And every single time somebody turns in an Imicus, it pays them, Adrian has I have not looked at it yet, Container Records. We're still just going over the basics of this. So I have a project, turn in 100 of these things. I pay out 2 per one. Everybody can turn them in an office. But what if I could deploy a mercenary den, and then anyone who wants to could hand over incursuses and get 2 million ISK each? That's a way through this physical object that exists in space for me to have a open opportunity that people outside of my corporation can engage with, which we know that CCP is working towards that. So I think that that's a big piece of the technology that they've been working on. But unfortunately, that's the kind of tech that they really won't have much to show for themselves until it's done, right? So I want to believe that that's kind of where we're going with this. But now everybody's super excited about what's going on with Drifter stuff. So let's go ahead and look at this. 1,000 faucets with effectively no sinks. Well, it depends on what it takes to build the things, right? And what, like right now, if I want to have 100 incursuses, I have to put in the 200 million ISK in order to buy those 100 incursuses. I agree. Like, well, but even if it's just the same as mission running, it's not like as long as it doesn't provide more ISK than missions, then it's fine because missions already exist, right? It's not I mean, it is a new type of faucet, but it doesn't necessarily represent more ISK coming into the system because those people would have been doing missions anyways. I would like to see more to do with joining pirate factions other than plexing. Mercenary dens may be the solution. I agree. I thought mercenary dens are only for people who live in nullsec. Yes, as of right now. But what I'm saying is that the tech, like that is, you can think of what we see of as mercenary dens as being a single instance of what this technology can do. We now have a deployable that players can build that affects that solar system and creates new sites to do that also affect that solar system, which is a new capability that we didn't have before, regardless of just the actual instance of a mercenary den as we know it right now. Vanguard is only available with select seasonal access. Is Vanguard still in alpha? Correct. I got ganked, lost my ship in 0.9 sec, not logging back in. Hey, it can happen, man. Event has started. Okay, let's... I get it. You guys don't care about what I have to say anymore. Let's look at the event. I agree. I barely care about what I have to say, too, if there's an event going on. Do I have to relog? Ardeen? Yeah, it started about 10, 20 minutes ago. Hold on, let me log out and log back in. Okay. While we do this, actually, let's go ahead and look at what's actually happening. Here, I thought people would want to talk about the roadmap, but I guess nobody gives a shit about that, which I agree. That's fine. We're going to talk about what's actually happening right now with the drifter attacks. Let's fucking go. I'm so excited. Didn't start right at 1700. To be fair, it said 17 to 2100, so it wasn't late per se. Okay, so... because, like, the patch notes... the patch notes said it would start from 19 to 2100. It's just what happens every year. Yeah, exactly, Jen. If it's even as dangerous as the Triglavian invasion, it seems like it's more like a home front situation. To be here, yes, I agree. And I just wanted to speak to that point because I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed by the roadmap presentation. And I was one of them. But yeah, that whole thing about the mercenary dens and its relationship to like how we author things in EVE versus Frontiers was something that I really wanted to talk about. So thank you for that distraction. But in the meantime, the drifter crisis, the real crisis to talk about today isn't a bunch of people complaining about mining, because whatever. It is the drifters are attacking. So let's go ahead and actually look at the dev blog, okay? Drifter crisis, defend New Eden. Capsuleers, a storm is brewing in New Eden. The drifters have begun their largest offensive yet, launching coordinated strikes across high-sec... launching coordinated strikes across high-sec and low-sec star systems to test the limits of those who defend New Eden. The Empires are under attack, and you are called upon to respond. Crisis sites. As the drifters extend their aggression to New Eden beyond Zarzak, Capsuleers will encounter them in multiple systems in high-sec and low-sec, and pilots of all skill levels are called upon to assist in the beating the threat back. Various sites and activities are available to Tech 1 ships up to battlecruiser class. These engagements are perfect for small gangs and provide opportunities for exploration, salvaging, and enforcer career followers to thrive. Eliminating threats will unlock a crisis resolution operation at the heart of the affected system, the successful completion of which will force the drifters to withdraw and regroup. Fight for New Eden, earn great rewards. Dark forces are gathering in New Eden. Your faction needs you to help defend against the Drifters. Fighting off this early wave of attacks, the rewards for those who rise to the challenge include significant ISK payouts, in addition to the glory of victory. Will you stand against Drifters and protect the future of New Eden? So, going back to patch notes, we see systems under attack can be found in the new Interstellar Events section of the Air Opportunities window. Okay, hold on. So if we go to Opportunities, Interstellar Events, Drifter Crisis, Galente and Amar. There we go. And Ardane and Pedanen. All right, cool. Complete crisis operations and help defend against Drifter-controlled sleeper drones in this solar system. Each completed objective brings the Galente Federation closer to uncovering the epicenter of local Drifter activity, unlocking the crisis resolution operation that will end this system's Drifter crisis. Sleepers size 3 to 5 pilots, 8 to 10 pilots in crisis resolution site, explorers, enforcers, logistics. Multiple types: remote repair, salvage, remote cap boosters, relic analyzer, dandelion analyzer, depending on site. Okay, great. So that's how we can find them. These are basically it's home fronts. All it is home fronts, repurposed home fronts. Okay, so systems under attack, complete crisis sites to weaken the grip the Drifters have on these systems. There are 4 varieties of crisis sites. With a 5th crisis resolution site available once the Drifter forces have been sufficiently weakened. Yeah, it's a mixture of incursions and home fronts. Oh, there's bonuses. 30% warp speed, 20% max velocity, negative 15% shield resistances, 30% penalty on drone damage. Is that on every system, or is that just the Galente one? All right, Crisis Field Rescue. Salvage the wrecks left behind following an Empire assault on Drifter facility to locate any survivors. It is recommended that at least 3 Capsuleers tackle this rescue mission. T1 frigates and standard T1 destroyers are permitted. So that is the salvage site, home front, which you can do with like an Imicus pretty easily. There's only 1 beacon type on Hobelix. Crisis Observation Infiltration. Scan down the site to retrieve valuable relics in the remains of an emergent Jovian observatory. Bring up to 2 other Capsuleers to maximize rewards, but be very wary of any traps the Drifters may have left behind. T1 frigates, destroyers, and standard T1 cruisers are permitted to enter. We'll see whether or not my Stratios can get in. Deathless Research Outpost. A deathless research base is under attack by Drifter forces. Use remote repair modules to keep this structure alive until it can be secured. Alternatively, destroy it yourself and sell the accrued hyperspace telemetry data to the highest bidder. 5 Capsuleers are recommended to aid the site. Less may be required to destroy it. T1 frigates, destroyers, and standard T1 cruisers are permitted to enter. So that's the standard emergency response, where you go in and rep the structure. Lancer counteroffensive. An Empire-owned Lancer dreadnought has been deployed to aid civilian structure. Help it destroy the Drifter presence before a nefarious task can complete. T1 frigates, destroyer, and standard T1 cruisers are permitted to enter. That sounds like the one where you have to cap up the Dread multiple times. The Dread Assault home front. Crisis Resolution Vigilant Dreamer. To resolve this crisis within the system, 10 Capsuleers are required to bring an end to the Vigilant Dreamer. Using data analyzers, the defensive array protecting this Drifter facility can be disabled, allowing it to be destroyed. T1 frigates, destroyers, cruisers, and standard T1 battle cruisers are permitted to enter. So this sounds closer to like the hacking home front, but definitely not the exact same, because it has battle cruisers and you're supposed to... It's 10 man instead of 5 man. Yeah, you cap up the Dread so it can lance the radiation gun. So it's exactly the same as the Dread Assault site. We are on our way to the Galente one. Payouts for these sites are awarded to the top contribution fleet. And then they also added deep flow rifts again. So that would be the mining event that they put in. So you'll be able to, if you can scan these things down, you just use tractor beams on them. That's what I set the Stratios up for. Navy is allowed? Unsure. This says standard T1 cruisers. So the ones that say standard T1 cruisers, I assume that the Vigilant Dreamer allows maybe Navy, but it doesn't look like the other ones allow Navy. I imagine the Stratios is not going to get into much. Deep Flow Rifts has an important lore item. There are some pretty fucking crazy lore items in this, okay? There's some stuff on HoboLeaks. I did actually move it over on Notepad, which we will look at. But right now we're rushing over here to see what we can see in the actual sites themselves. Yes, new lore. We actually have some logs from what appears to be the Shrouded Days. The first, like, this is some very interesting stuff, at least for me. Is the Deep Flow Rift spawning everywhere or just low sec and high sec? Unclear. I do not know if deep flows are spawning in nullsec. See, there's a Dread Assault Primacy base. That's the original one. Each site is different. Yes, correct. But all of them say standard T1. So I assume Navy is not going to be allowed in because they mimic the current home fronts. Yeah. So the biggest thing is here. We'll look at it while we go there. There's a series of gleaned information. There's gleaned static, which says a bunch of corrupted stuff. Sickness, not of the blank unforgiven. Without mercy, corrupted regret. And just a bunch of corrupted information on this one. But then there's the gleaned correspondences. Now, these are interesting. It says, so there's logs, and there's a bunch of bad data in the logs, but we can kind of piece it together that all of the year is 22 something, 22,000, and then something 1, something 3, then 1 something, 0 something. So it looks like all of these could be in November, right? This could be 11/3. This could be 11, anything between 3 and 10. This could be anywhere from 10 to 20. This could be anywhere from 20 to 30. And this is 30. So these could be chronological logs all happening in November of the year 22,000 something. Okay. Now, this implies that it's part of the original, like the old calendar system, not the YC calendar system. So if we pop over to our records, we can see that in the year 20,000 AD, the rise of the Second Jovian Empire. Michael Bohr, who united the Jovians in the Second Empire more than 3,000 years ago. Note that this leaves 2,000 years between the fall of the First Empire and the foundation of the Second. Then in around 22,000 AD, Heaven Constellation was a thriving set of worlds littered with distinctly Jovian structures, exactly like the sparse remnants we had found from Templar 1. The construct became a network of mines. This was tolerated until the disease appeared. When the disease surfaced, the architects became something unfamiliar to us, something more powerful than should have been possible for our civilizations, so on and so forth. And then by 22,800, we see the rise of the Third Jovian Empire. So during the year 22,000, during that period, 22,000 to 22,800, we see the fall of the Second Jovian Empire, and then the rise of the Second Jovian Empire and the final pieces of that, right? So hold on. This system looks different. This is a drifter system. It looks pretty fucked. 30% bonus to warp speed, 20% bonus to maximum velocity, 15% penalty to shield resistances, and 30% penalty to drone damage and speed. Where are those records? Not 100% sure yet. I assume that they are from the Jovian Observatory that you can find and hack. I like how you can still see Caroline Star. Where is it? Can I still see Caroline Star? Am I missing it? Where's Galactic North? That's Galactic North. Is that Caroline Star? Oh, no. Yeah, there it is. You can see it right there. Fair enough. That big list with the timeline you were reading from. So I have on the Notion this is the complete timeline of events up to YC122. Where is it? And you can see like 80 what years they're taking place. And there's a bunch of logs as to where it is. So we are looking at this time period where the very early pieces of like the first empires as we are right now. Like the Gurun Empire collapsed in 21,834. The Amar found the Mimitar in 22,3055. So this is contemporary with all that sort of stuff happening. But we see the rise of the Third Jovian Empire here in 22.8. And if you click on this Go DL Eve files thing, that's what leads to this document that was made. Okay. So while we're here, we see that there's a bunch of cosmic signatures. There's field rescue sites. There's Lancer counteroffensive. The field rescue site, I'm assuming, is the Logi site. So right now there's just a bunch of the Logi and the Cap sites. So I wonder if we're going to see a bunch of Ospreys show up. The Third Jovian Empire didn't last very long then. Figured it was a lot older. The Third Jovian Empire lasted into the modern age. The Second Jovian Empire didn't last very long. The Second Jovian Empire lasted like less than a few hundred years. Yes, Lancer counter is a dread. That's correct. But it's a cap. You have to cap them up. Field rescue is salvaging? Oh. I thought that was the one where you have to logi them. Are you sure? Heads up, Captain. Federation forces claim victory against the Drifters, but at the cost of many lives. You'll need to rescue those lucky enough to survive. Ideally, from the structure that they took down goes boom. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is salvage. There's people going in right now. Heron Navy issue and Synesis went in, right? No, the Synesis is outside. The Heron Navy issue went in. Okay, here we go. So the Estero is allowed in. So this is, yeah, so this is the salvage one, right? So it's only, it does allow Navy though. But it doesn't allow Navy destroyers. It's only Navy frigates. So any T1 frigate, but only basic destroyers. Then oh, there's the Deathless Research Outpost. Deathless Research is the rep site. There you go. The Third Empire ran away. Third Empire actually ran away before Caroline Star blew up, but just before. Yeah. Vexers doing the Lancer counteroffensive? Is that? That's weird. Normally you would, Captain, this district office is under attack by a destructive scrutinizer. The workers inside will be tortured to death unless you intervene. A response hubris is on site, but has been drained by drifter-controlled sleeper drones. Support the hubris and free our citizens before it's too late. Yeah, so this is the one where you cap it up. The directorate thought that the Caroline Star was going to blow up all of their stuff. They specifically said that they ran away in Inheritance. Where is it? Yeah. We don't know. That's why the joke is I like to we like to say that they pulled the Tolkien elves. They traveled west. But it says the lasting consequences of the Isogen 5 event itself are the uncontrolled breaches into Anoikis that allowed Capsuleers to descend like a swarm of devouring insects into the sleeping enclaves. This could have been avoided, but the truth of the matter is that there was a miscalculation. Ultimately, that miscalculation will amount to a little more. Uh-oh. Almost got attacked. Sorry. In any case, the sum picture presented by the monitors of W477 TAC-P was clear enough. If catastrophic as import, some 50-odd gates. They're talking about what happened with the first event, the Isogen 5 criticality event. So they say, our estimates for the likely window of gravitational collapse supernova was slashed. What would happen if the supernova hit the rest of the lattice could hardly be contemplated. The destruction had been vast, but more than 90% of the lattice was, if not all functioning, at least intact by some measures. This was still a stellar level power collection, conversion, and quantum transmission network that would, in the event, simply suck in as much energy as directed at it and offload as much as it could through the buffering system before being overwhelmed. They talk about how there was they're talking about it in this video, in this post, about how the Jovian Directorate effectively fled, leaving behind only a handful of Jovians remaining. Yeah. Our monitoring systems picked up the telltale signs of an imminent gravitational collapse in early of September of YC116. In the 5 or so years since the Isogen 5 QCE, our numbers had fallen from 10,000 or so to perhaps 1,000 scattered across the Jovian Empire. By the time the supernova happened, those of us who were going were long gone. Those of us who had chosen, for whatever reason, to stay in New Eden permanently had dispersed into their hidden destinations far away from the abandoned remains of the Third Empire. So, okay, so what we see here in these Hobolique records, what we see in the Hobolique records is this correspondence says this game of tyrants will end in ruin. Corrupted message: our heights will be unmatched, our stability eternal. Accept that or corrupted. Inflammatory or ignorant, such hubris, corrupted. Some of us still dream of peace. You may dream, but I plan to live in the here blank, and for that there is no cost I would not pay. This is a perversion of the power that we have borrowed, a corrupted message until all is lost. And this is a debate that is happening in that time period that seems to be towards the end of the Second Jovian Empire. And then that leads to the Glean Directive, which is early in in what probably is in the same year, might even be the next year, because this is not the same month, because it starts with 0, right? As long as our enclaves remain united in the unflinching grip of tyranny, we shall never again see such dark days. Let us embrace what it means to be Jovian, many facets of a single vision. Remain ever vigilant. As we refuse to evolve, must be known. Those who refuse unity must be known. Those who would must be destroyed. Bound, finite, infinite. We remain undeniable in the worlds built of dreams. Remember, observe, inform, secure. This to me reads as if it is what is YC0 in AD? I used to know this number off the top of my head, but I don't right now. Hold on. YC3 is, so 23,236. 23,236 is YC0. So this message here reads to me as if it is from Myko Bor, right? Myko Bor was the guy who united the Second Jovian Empire. He was the first tyrant, a tyrant or whatever. He's basically like, so at the end of the First Jovian Empire, the elders attempted to break up their ability to biologically engineer themselves. This led to basically disillusionment of the First Jovian Empire. And then eventually Myko Bor brought them back under a single banner under the tyrants for the Second Jovian Empire. And so I feel like that's what they're talking about. It's like, as long as the tyrants are in charge, we shall never see the dark days of that time period between the First and Second Jovian Empire. Let us embrace what it means to be Jovian. Many facets of the single vision. Because remember, the end of the First Jovian Empire happened because the elders tried to mandate to everyone what they were allowed to do, right? Whether or not they were allowed to be, because to take it a step back, to me, it sounds like a founding document statement speech for the Jovian Directorate. I don't know if it's Jovian Directorate. It could be Jovian Directorate, but then why are they talking good about the unflinching? They're talking about something as if it is something that is now stable, right? Not something that they're rebuilding that was broken per se, but so and surrounding around the tyrants, which were the head of the Second Jovian Empire. That's why I think this is a Second Jovian Empire message. So, but basically, the Jovians have always been divided on the topic of genetic modification. Okay. You have the statics, which believe that they should not make further modifications to themselves. And the most extreme version of the statics are the sleepers, or are now the sleepers, because they put themselves in suspended animation. And the opposite of that would be the modifiers, the ones who believe that they should modify them, that we should continue, the Jovians should continue to modify themselves in order to find like further perfection, right? And these guys, and so when the Second Jovian Empire took over, they started doing further and further experiments on their own biology, which is what led to things like the Shrouded Days and the Jovian disease. So if we read this, the thing I kick on this is that they're saying, okay, well, the Jovians must be united with many facets of a single vision. Remain ever vigilant. And I'm going to say must, or so here's one of the ways that I read this with the corrupted messages filled in, right? Remain ever vigilant, and we who refuse to evolve must be known. Those who refuse this unity must be known, and those who would disrupt our unity must be destroyed. Bound by the finite infinite, we remain undeniable in the worlds that we have built of dreams. Remember, observe, inform, secure. Now, is that exactly what they're saying? Maybe. I don't know. I literally read this for the first time today. But that's an idea of like, that's what I get out of this message. You can let me know how you would fill in those corruptions. Whatever. But the point of the matter is that this right here is very likely the best piece of evidence about the Shrouded Days or the older Jovian empires that we've ever seen. So the message should be post 22,800 then, given that this is the founding date of the second Jovian. No, the founding date of the second 22,800 is the third Jovian empire. So the first Jovian empire, the second Jovian empire, we see in 2200 AD approximately was when the second Jovian empire was created. We see, the second Jovian empire, rise of the second Jovian empire was in 20,000. The fall of the second Jovian empire was near the 2200, and then by 22,800 you have the third empire. So yeah, it could be towards the end of the second Jovian empire. It could be the beginning of the third Jovian empire. I want to think that it's towards the end of the second Jovian empire, because I read this as saying, like, this is around when the Shrouded Days were in play, right? This is them dealing with the Shrouded Days. This is the conflict that we would know as the Shrouded Days. I also wonder if those who would blank must be destroyed might be the Triglavians, right? Hard to say, but remember that the Triglavians were in theory interacting at this time or involved in some way with the Jovians. In addition to that, we see a whole bunch of new structures. We see the Watchful Authority, the master device that controls the site's security systems, the Patient Eradicator, it's a sentry gun, the Steadfast Witness. Hold on. The Steadfast Witness puts up a warp disruption bubble in the event of triggers a lockdown. The Patient Jailer. Oh, sorry, the interdiction nullifier. The interdiction bubble is the jailer. The Witness is the monitor that locks the site down. And the Steadfast Martyr is a mine. And where is the torture device? The Vigilant Dreamer this is the structure that you got to destroy to complete the system. Destructive Scrutinizer. This is the thing that you have to destroy with the dreads because they're torturing people inside. A drifter structure capable of projecting alpha, beta, and EM radiation with precise control. It allows to create a variety of extreme temperatures, toxicity, and environmental conditions within a single target structure. Eventually, this will destroy that structure, but while the structure is under scrutiny, anyone inside will be experiencing extreme torment. The Scrutinizer is also monitoring activity within the structure it is irradiating, collecting detailed data about the responses of those trapped inside. Torturing or converting to a superior form. Well, it's supposed to it destroys them in the end, so I think it's probably torture. 12 pilots in a Lancer site could not do it? This operation is complete, but there will be others. Okay, so this is the Drifter Deathless. Sorry, this is the Deathless Research Post. So in this case, it does allow. Oh, it allows the Noctis. So it allows Navy frigates. It allows Navy destroyers. It does allow standard cruisers, non-Navy cruisers, and non-pirate destroyers. Do the Trig still believe the Drifters are the... Yes, the Trig continue to treat the Drifters as if they are the ancient enemy Azdaja. Yeah. Do we check out the Lancer counteroffensive? Also, let's go ahead and start scanning down some of these other sites. So for the Lancer counteroffensive, again, Navy frigates, Navy destroyers, but only standard cruisers. Lore-wise, there's a possibility this draws them out into the conflict event. The Triglavians and the Drifters have been in conflict with each other quite a bit recently. That's a big piece of how this whole thing has been going about. Like the Drifters and the Triglavians have been fighting in Trig space a lot recently. Did I read the Demijohn? I don't know what that is yet. Well, so remember that the Drifters are a rogue artificial intelligence. The other doesn't really understand human emotions in the same way, and they're very... The other is incredibly nasty. In Templar 1, what he does to Marcus is absolutely horrific. Demijohn can secure dispatch. Let's look. Oh, I don't even have any fucking hacking modules on this thing. I'm gonna have to go get new shit. Crisis Observatory Infiltration Site. Demijohn secured dispatch. A bloodstained message transcribed it. Oh, this is probably this is from a deep flow rift, almost certainly, right? A bloodstained message transcribed in Triglavian script has been lodged inside of a beverage vessel in a desperate attempt to keep it safe. Translated, the message reads: Flow has been interrupted. Domain is advanced time unfit. We face extirpation. If our Domovoy is returned, glorify it within the flow. Domovoy is actually a name that is... The Domovoy is the same... The Domovoy is the name that matches the Damovic. Because, like, most of the Triglavian... So the Triglavian clades are named after the gods of Triglav. Right, the Slavic deity Triglav has 3 faces. The Svarog, Velez, Perun are all associated with that. Can I get in? I cannot get in. But this allows cruisers too. This one's full of all kinds of traps. Okay. We need to go get an Imicus, don't we? Let's go back to Dodixie. Windows Update preview is available. What? Oh, the green. That's the Galente agent. You see green screen because if you go into your display and graphics settings, enable green screen portrait background. I had that checked because I use that when I'm pulling out people. I use it for my videos and stuff. So normally it's got a normal background, but I had it set to green screen. Yes, Domovoy in different spelling is a house spirit in Slavic mythology, but the Domovoy is a Domovec, right? The Triglavian subclades, which all of the ships are named after, are usually like Slavic deities or sorry, Slavic spirits, or I think Leshak is a name of a city or something like that. But Kikimora is a spirit. The Domovoy, Domovec is a spirit. Rodiva is actually two different words, Slavic words smashed together. Ro and diva, so spirit of healing. They also have a tendency to name artificial beings after spirits. The Nafka Overmind, the Nafka has spirit implications. But also remember, so in the home fronts, they added new home fronts in Equinox, and one of those home fronts involves a Triglavian ambassador who's under attack from the sleepers, and your job is to stabilize the rift long enough for the ambassador to come back through to talk to the empires. That's true. They do refer to the drones as fairies, like Villa. Maybe TL. Strigoi? Yeah, it's I'm unsure whether or not that represents a new name or if that's they're also referring to the Damovic. They almost so in no Triglavian records do they refer to the Damovic as a Damovic. They refer to it as the Category 3 Troika classification clade ship. So I get the feeling that they mean an ambassador. Because see, here it says Damovic subclade of Perun clade revised adaptation schema for clade ship to the 3 tactical troika classification. So 3 tactical troika classification clade ship is their name for the Damovic. It was just the Damovic subclade of the Perun clade that devised it. WTF is a simulated baseliner? That's a good question. We don't know where there's a lot of items that were added into this game or the game today that we're going to have to figure out where it all goes. So we have, we looked at the different structures of the drifters. We also see an unmoored Jovian observatory. Unmoored in space-time, this observatory has emerged from the location for a limited duration. The space-time instability caused by drifter activity in the system may have inadvertently caused its emergence, or they may have deliberately pulled it into this location using their advanced hyperspace technology. Whether it was a deliberate act or not, the drifters have moved quickly, deploying measures to secure its rare contents. How long it's been adrift for remains unknown, but scans indicate it once contained valuable artifacts from a bygone era. Since its emergence, sleeper drones have already recovered many of those artifacts. So I assume that a lot of these gleaned information, including from potentially the end of the Second Jovian Empire, beginning of the Third Jovian Empire, comes from this Jovian observatory, but we don't 100% know yet. But we have like preservation containers, military stasis pods. In the case of emergency crew members, seek refuge inside this pod, potentially even surviving the total destruction of their ship. Battle wreckage. Wormhole research outpost. The Deathless Outpost has been hastily anchored here to study the wormholes that emerge around Drifter Crisis systems. Restricted hyperspace telemetry. This is what you get if you destroy the research outpost. Telemetry data gathered by observing wormholes related to drifter activities. The data is not seen to be concerned with the wormhole itself, but further hyperspace connections that can be observed through it. This data has been limited to avoid detection by high-sec security sweeps. The simulated baseliner. Vast quantities of data has been collated to construct this precise simulation of one of New Eden's many baseline humans, which is a weird idea given the fact that, like, baseliners and infomorphs are kind of not the same thing usually. Fragmented observations. This strange journey unstuck in space and time. The observatory has still been recording its surroundings. Due to this ruined state, these recordings are fragmented and incomplete, but still have some value to the scientifically astute. And that's right before the gleaned items, so I assume that those are related. Modified sleeper corpse. A sleeper corpse has been modified to have better served a drifter mind. Like all clone bodies used by drifters, the vocal cords have been removed, its blood irradiated and flooded with nanites, and it relies on artificial life support systems managed by secondary intelligences. This goes into the idea that the drifters actually basically hijack sleeper bodies in order to escape the construct. Road drones are their own thing. Wait. Are there road drones aligned with the sleepers? There are road drones that are aligned with the other, there seems to be road drones that are aligned with Tyrannos, like the drifters. There are road drones that are aligned with the Triglavians, but it seems more like I wouldn't even necessarily say that. There are no road drones that are explicitly aligned with the other, but it does feel as if the other and the sleepers have fed the rogue drone information to cause them to be more chaotic. Yes. Yeah. Drifters and sleepers scoop capsuleer bodies when they find them. Yeah, I don't know whether or not the Domovoy is the I can't remember the name of the Triglavian ambassador that comes through that event site. Rogue drones are the others. Al-Qaeda. Well, so rogue drones, there's a lot of hints that rogue drones, well, okay. So rogue drones have multiple swarms, right? There's not just one intelligence within the rogue drones. There are multiple overminds. There are multiple swarms. and they have multiple levels of allegiance and intelligence, right? Even the Triglavians, when they did research on the rogue drones, they found some of them are intelligent and able to be worked with, and some of them are little more than vermin. The rogue drones in Pochfin are known as the Unshackled Overmind, which seems to be connected to the drifters, but they don't directly report to the drifters. They're just rogue drones that refuse to suborn themselves to the Nafka Overmind. But it is true that the rogue drones have demonstrated the ability to adapt to the technologies that they are exposed to, right? So like the rogue drones were hijacked by the old Isogen 5 structures in order to maintain Isogen 5. And I believe that that's kind of where the rogue drones got their information about how to do Isogen 5 manipulation. I should have brought a fucking salvager. I should have brought a hacking module. God damn it. Hold on. Let me go back. So there's a fair chunk of the rogue drones that have suborned themselves to the Triglavians through the Nafka Overmind. There are rogue drones that are completely feral, and there are rogue drones that appear to be doing their own thing, but they've stolen technology from the Sleepers and from the Triglavians in order to like advance themselves. Like for instance, the rogue drone Mutaplasmids, where they've manipulated Triglavian technology to benefit them. All right, we need Ooh, this is going to be rough. Are rogue drones mostly feral then? Are they various factions out there as well? There are allegedly multiple factions out there, but it's not like we have very good insight into that. There are multiple overminds. See, we can even see, well, there's, infested. So this is the rogue drones in charge of drone lands. 10 years after Code Area Inquiry, the situation of infested regions remain troubling. While rogue drone infestations have been held in tense equilibrium by activities of independent capsuleers, the balance is assessed and unstable, and the threat of infested region hive minds remain critical. So there's this whole thing about the ARIA, Code ARIA Inquiry. You can go read. There's a whole document about it that talks about Concord's analysis of the rogue drones. Data. Click. It is interesting that each crisis event is poised in all 4 empire space. Do you think that there'll be independent outcomes for how much people defend a particular empire space? I assume that CCP will likely use those results in how they kind of sculpt the outcome, right? Like if one is particularly successful and another is not, then the next New Eden news may play into that. A good example of this is like the Caldari got their asses kicked in invasions. And so to this day, anytime that they're talking about like the instability in the financial and the military within the Caldari, they speak to that concern quite a bit, right? So it wasn't so much that it was planned that way, but like, well, their culture remembers this and it comes up a lot. I think it'll probably be closer to that, where if certain empires make a big deal about fixing it versus others, then they may get called out. They may end up putting something somewhere. It could very well be. Simulated baseliner is to put NPC in Megacorp exchange? I do not understand that. They also said that this is only the beginning of the crisis. So chances are there's going to be more sites and different stuff that comes later on. Like when invasions first started, which I'm not saying this is as big as invasions, but when invasions first started, the first week was just a bunch of roaming NPCs. We didn't actually start getting sites. Every week after the first week, we got after 1 week, we got minor conduits. A week later, we got major conduits. And then a week later, we got the world arcs finally. So it rolled out over the course of like a month. One more jump. Put in the Glente response so we can see what happens, or the Mimitar. Why be picky? Why not the MR? The MR have the most history with the Drifters. What do you think the chances of empires becoming high-sec islands are? I've heard this theory, especially given the location of Drifter observatories and stuff, or Jovian observatories. But like, I don't know, man. I think that CCP likes, for instance, the way that insurgencies can theoretically make a Mara high-sec island for a period of time. That's already extremely disruptive. I didn't bring any probes. But I don't see CCP doing something that disruptive long term. They want, if something that disruptive happens, A, it should be done by the players, and B, it shouldn't last forever. I'm just going to go into the site since I can't fucking do anything. Maybe I can go refit. Yeah, there is a station here. That's good. Okay. Watchful authorities. Steadfast witnesses. So those are the warning beacons. Drifter collection. There's a can to hack. And that is a tower? No. That is a can to hack too. So it's the... Okay. Oh, there's a landmine. So this is what the site looks like. A bunch of landmines, a bunch of witnesses, the authority, and I can hack collections eradicator. Prime to attack anyone that triggers a security lockdown. So we don't want to trigger a security lockdown. Okay. With a relic analyzer. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and get a relic analyzer. I kind of wonder if each empire were islands would kill non-Jita trade zones, or would people be willing to deal with price spikes? I think that, like, in theory, people could Like it would make the different markets more interesting, but again, I just don't see them being ballsy enough to do that. Like to expect people to have to go through like low sec choke points in order to get between trade hubs. Yeah, the big fear would be everybody would just abandon the ones that don't have support. Okay, we're going to take off that and put on this. Do you think CCP will let Capsuleers support drifters similar to what happened in Trig Invasions? Absolutely not. Udama's more dangerous than low sec 99% of the time. Wizard, you say that. Like, Udama feels really dangerous. Check out Abazon sometime. Galaxy Conquest is pretty easy, pretty fun. Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, Abazon is exactly what happens if Uedama was low sec. Like, that's all it is. It would put too big of a barrier to entry to those who want to do interstation arbitrage. Oh boy. Okay, so let's see here. What is that thing's range, I wonder? Oh, I can see little bubbles. I can see little bubbles. We're going to work with that. We're going to try to fly in between these things and see what happens. Can I hack this thing? Got to be very careful moving around here. I can hack this thing. Oh, it shut it off. Hey, there's another Amicus in here. I hope that doesn't... Okay, so when this thing shut off, I can't loot it. It just shuts it off. Okay, so you can run around and shut off all the turrets if you want to. God, I hope that Amicus doesn't do something stupid. Hell, I hope I don't do something stupid. Oh, never mind. We just did it. Fuck. Fuck. We're in defense mode now. Fuck! Dang it, I'm dead. That was a nice ship, too. So that Amicus got me killed. That's cool. Fuck! Ah. Shouldn't have put that much money. That was you? Damn it, dude! Okay. Who was that? I didn't even catch who it was that came in and did that. What a troublemaker. Hey, I've had people come in and mess with me from stream. That's absolutely a thing that we can do. Looks like the influence hasn't gone up at all, though. So we haven't completed very many sites, or at least it hasn't made any progress from the sites that we finished. Well, yeah, the final site is designed for 10 people. So I wonder how I'm supposed to take care of that, because you can hack the thing that turns off the defenses. Space Farmer, so first of all, one thing I've learned in streaming for a long time is that kind of stuff just doesn't work. People can always just use a locator agent to find where I am. But more importantly, this is only happening in 2 systems in the entire cluster. So it's not going to be hard for them to figure out where I am. It's just more like you got to expect this to happen. 6? Wait, hold on. What? Oh. Okay. So we've got it in Ardennes, Odot, Hysteria, Oix, Afakalan, and Tadadan. 3 Galente, 1 Caldari, 1 Mimitar, 1 Amar. The Galente were the ones that warned about drifter attacks. Interesting. But yeah, having people come and disrupt my stuff is part of what makes this Eve so interesting, huh? What do the Galente know? I don't know. But also the Galente could be the most aligned with the Deathless. Uh, why is Mimitar and Caldari low sec yet Amar and Galente high sec? I don't know if there's too much we can read into it yet. Oh, it was pointed out to me on in my comments that the filter resources shows. Oh, there is a little box here that says filter by total resources and filter by remaining resources. They must have added that in at some point. I totally missed that before. Do we get suspect timer if you go in? If it's like normal home fronts, then I assume that any group that goes in after the first might get suspect flags, but it doesn't specifically say that in the report, but it's a good possibility. They did say that there will be more. These Tech 2 field purgers aren't going to, like, that's good and all, but I think I'm just dead either way. So let's go ahead and just make this cheaper. So we're going to grab 16 probes. You got 2 salvagers. You got a relic analyzer. Yeah, make it as bare bones as possible. I mean, that's as bare bones as I'm going to fly, I guess. Do I have anything crazy in my head? No. Let's see. Why not core defense? What? I do have core defense. You mean core defense field extender? Extender gives you more hit points. Purger gives you more HP recovery. So this is designed to try to be like survivable. So I'm going to be right back, guys. I'm going to be right back. I got to go pee real quick before we jump into more of this. All right. Do the Jove know that bubbles aren't allowed as high in high sec? That's funny. Okay. So I think we're going to go for the other one now. It's closer and newer. Pretty sure the Jove invented the Concorde safety system. Yeah. A lot of Concorde is Jovian technology. The Jove are the 5th point of Concorde's star. For those anybody who's interested in doing this stuff, we're going to be continuing to run these sites. So please go ahead and hop in our Discord, and we will put together sites to run, or a fleet to run these sites. And also, if you haven't gotten your million free SP, don't forget to use that link to get your million free SP. There's Caladote. Price's Field Rescue. As soon as you get home from work. Excellent. Yeah, the drifters are basically masquerading as Jove. One of those vigilant sites. Yeah. Well, I haven't seen, like, we don't see anything too juicy like added to the game today. So it's not like there's new modules or something like that you can get. This is mostly like lore and ISK rewards. Observatory infiltration. Here we go. Changing Tuesday home fronts to these until they're permanently added or go away. Yeah. Well, there was a thing. Was it Malik? Were you saying that this is going to last for 2 weeks? Was there a thing about that? I don't know if that's true or not. Let's see. See what we can see. Okay. So here we are again. Always such a pleasure. Now, it's very possible that I was the one that triggered the response, but I didn't see myself get within any of these spheres. It was shortly after I got rid of this Eradicator, but the Eradicator also didn't trigger anything. That sphere, I'm definitely not inside that sphere. And it did happen as soon as the other Imicus came in, or shortly thereafter. You know, the implication is that it was the other Imicus that did it. But we'll find out here in a few seconds. Full speed. Still nothing. Okay, so let's go ahead and start moving to this collection. Microwarp Drive 1 Pulse. Wait, what? Four, 5. Why am I only doing 35 damage? And observatory spectrometry, whatever. Okay. Go after this patient eradicator next. I like how these are basically somewhere between normal hacking sites and sleeper sleeper sites. I can't remember what they're called. So this thing, this watchful authority, that's what I'm kind of interested in. Oh, let's go after this drifter collection up here. Because if I can turn off the watchful authority, master device that controls the site's security systems, ancient protocols authority can be hacked with a relic analyzer, aborting an active lockdown. So how's that possible? Because as soon as the site goes into lockdown, like I died like 10 seconds later. Can you imagine somebody coming in here during a lockdown and still successfully hacking that can in order to shut off the lockdown? I don't know if I see that happening. Oh, rule of 6. So now it's going to be there it is. Just more observatory data sheets. Well, there's a landmine like right there next. Oh my God, that's so fucking close. All right, let's go back down to that one. I need to come at this one from below so that way I don't accidentally set off the landmine. I can get in with a cruiser. Yeah, but I wonder how much of it can be tanked by that cruiser, right? It can't be a Stratios. So, what hacking cruiser are you using? Right? I guess Imicus has a smaller bonus than the Tech 2. Is that why my hacking skills are 35 instead of 40? So far, I've had 6 sheets per collection. Oh shit, somebody's coming. Let's pull away. I wonder what these things' range are. Star. Okay, so I've pulled some range. We've been scanned down. There's still half of the cans remaining. Anyone can get in as long as they... Well, no. Well, anybody who has the correct kind of ship and can scan it down can get in, yeah. A mauler? Yeah, maybe. What do you think are the chances? As things escalate, I think that it could be likely that they might bring back those drifters and their items. But as of right now, we don't see them. Okay, nobody's coming. Let's go ahead and warp off and look at what we got and then maybe come back. So these things, scans carried out on the observatory itself, charting unique radiation patterns and hyperspace distortions with a market value of buy orders of 50K each. So it's 3 million per can. Oh, Navy issue ships. I think they showed Navy issue frigates can get in, but not Navy issue cruisers. My Stratios couldn't get in. When they say Navy, they don't mean pirate, so that also would exclude. Okay. Let's go back in and see if we can get the other cans. All right. Let's see. That drifter collection down there. Looks like it's going to be good to go. Where's the landmines? There's a landmine there. There's a landmine down there. That can looks very close to that landmine. So let's go ahead and head to this can next. The field sites are hard to do solo. Lots of logi. Well, yeah, they're not supposed to be done solo. These are all 3 to 5 to 10 man sites. Well, except for the one I'm in right now. Dodging the bubble. This is a fun little bit of tension. I like these sites because, like I said, they've done these kinds of things with like landmines and other stuff like this before. But like this is a lot more low key. Oh, only 5 of them. Okay. This is lower key, but still like it's somewhere in between normal sites and some of these harder sites that we've seen. As part of your guides, will you be covering setting up the overview window eventually? Yeah. And I don't know if we're necessary. I mean, like I've done a video on how to do the overview. You can look up my mastering the overview video already, but we will be talking about how to edit the overview and stuff throughout the whole series, probably. Okay. Holy shit, that's close. I didn't even realize how close I was to, like, Doom. Let's go after this guy next. What is this? A jailer? What the fuck is a jailer? Is that the turret? Interdiction bullet bubbles. Yeah, let's get rid of that one. Fuck, there's another scanner. I'm gonna be right here next to this fucking jailer when that dude comes in and activates all these bubbles, including this one, and then I die. I lied. This jailer's now shut off. There's the witness. I don't want to get close to the witness. Okay, there goes the probes. There's another 6. I know. I'm not teaching people how to hack today. My mind is elsewhere. I do have videos on how to hack. This is not a tutorial day. Come on. This is a practical exercise day. I need to get up to that collection right there. Yeah. WoW that WoW expansion. The WoW lore kind of went off the rails, didn't it? Eleven, 10, 9, 8. Come on. I need to get 6. I need to get to 6. There we go. Ugh. Ugh. Oh boy. Don't get too close. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now, which ones are left? Do we have any left? We have one more. Where the fuck is it? Oh, golly. All right. Well, shit. All right. Fair enough. Let's start by untangling ourselves from where we are now. And head to the bottom of the tower and come up from the bottom to get that one. I think that's the last one, right? This straight line gonna work? I think it is. I think it's gonna be fine. I think I'm gonna be fine. More scanners. Come on. All right, that's it. That's all of them. That's it. That's the whole site. I got them all. Does that do anything? Oh, I think the site. Yep, the site despawned off the chart. Okay, great. So yeah, that's it. I did it. I did it. And all we got were these observatory reports. That's it, the entire time. We didn't get anything else besides 4 to 6 observatory reports. So that's 2 to 3 million each can for a total of, what was that, like 10 cans? So 30 million? I like to use the tactical overlay. That's true. Was I not using? Oh, yeah, because I switched it to tactical camera. Yeah, tactical overlay would have definitely helped a lot for that setup. But are those just undervalued right now? Yeah, so because these are brand new, they're going to be reported as being worth 0 ISK. But if you look, I can take all of the observatory telemetry that I got and we can sell it. Actually, hold on. View market details. We would have to travel to Avern, I guess. But this would be what, 22.5 million ISK in that one site. You're in my season 2 corp at Galaxy Conquest? Sweet. Yeah. I am enjoying the hell out of Galaxy Conquest, especially this last week. It's been actually a lot of fun. But I think I'm going to be wrapping up this stream right now. We did show off this site. I can't really show off the rest of the sites without forming a fleet. And so I want to kind of head on to the Discord and see what we can put together. So once again, please make sure to get on the Discord if you're interested. But we're going to go sell these sheets and see what we can get for it, just to see how that works, and then we'll be good to go. Wait, what? Yeah, view market details. You can tell it's an NPC buy order because it has 364 days. The environments are looking really good. Well, you don't like hearing how all of the lore for the last 25 years was erased by some dude that you've never heard of? I don't know if I necessarily agree with that assessment. I think that the lore in Eve actually really does mesh together really well. Every single time I look into it, I realize that there's breadcrumbs that go back years, if not a decade or more, into the past that sets up this stuff. If you're talking about like the reveal of who the Deathless is, I mean, obviously I was disappointed that I was wrong. I think that my idea was cooler, but you know, I mean, it is what it is. So this says immediate. Why does this only have? Wait, it's 50,000? Wait. It's 50,000, not 500,000. So this is a lot less. Oh, so that entire site was 2.5 million? That site felt like it was a lot more than 2.5 million-isk worth of stuff, right? Wait. So this site is the entire site that's filled with booby traps and explosives is worth less than a single good can in nullsec. People buying those for 500K in Jita right now, no sell orders? It was a lot more than 2.5 million worth of danger. I mean, I lost a 90 million ship learning it, but I mean, there's that. Yeah, it's so much. Well, yeah, and I've noted they said 18 million ISK each. So it looks like the sites themselves are about the same as Homefront's, maybe a little bit less. But these hacking like these observatory sites, I hope I'm missing something because that was a whole lot of work for not a whole lot of stuff. All right, well. This is saying that he survived a deathless research outpost with a caracal. But they killed the outpost. But I mean, like, that's the site failing in theory. 2.5 million for this site makes me really sad. If it was 25 million, 24.5 million, if I was right originally, it was 500,000 and they just missed a zero, that would make so much more sense. That felt like, I mean, if you told me that site was worth 22 million, I'd be like, yeah, that checks out. If you tell me that this site is worth 2 million, I'm going to be like, why would anybody ever fucking do? I can't even build, like, that's like unimicus, like the cheapest possible. If I went into, if I go into my fittings, you go to fittings, you go to Hull and Fits, you cancel out of this, you go to community fittings, you go to frigates, and then you go to like the Explorer setups. Explorer. Let's see. The Galente Explorer is worth 1.6 million. So you could get this setup here for 2 million, including a data analyzer and relic analyzer 1, not a 2. I didn't get any reward, and I finished all the cans. Yeah, there's no reward for finishing it. Maybe if I need to, maybe I need to hack the that final red can. I might be missing something, but that's part of the fun of day one stuff, right? Well, in the meantime, let's go ahead and scan down the rest of the sites to make sure that they are. Well, we could do Deep Flow Rift if we can find one. They said that they upped the rewards of Deep Flow Rifts. I can complete a series of pirate sites and get the same with less stress. Yeah. Well, I mean, seriously, a den? Hold on. Field? Yeah. So these restrained warp disruption field generators, okay? So I go and run around in dens and other random sites all the fucking time. And whenever I do, not all the time, but like when I do, I loot all of the cans. I loot every single wreck. At least I check every single wreck because you're looking for these pink warp disruption field generators, right? Because these things are worth 5 million ISK each. A single one of them. So I can get twice as much by running a den than I could by running that entire tower. What were the observatory stuff used for? It looked like it's only used for selling it to NPC buy orders. Not even a fun puzzle piece to get out of it from them. Yeah, I don't know, man. Did I miss something? Let me know. No signatures or anomalies in system. Let's go scan down all of the signatures in that system to see what we have. And then I think I probably should go. I need to leave soon. Yeah, the site despawned. So whatever it is, whatever completing it looks like, I supposedly did that. I didn't get any ISK reward for finishing the site. You said earlier that the Deathless is not who you thought it was. What did you miss? You have a video about it? So for a couple of years, my theory was that the Deathless was this terrorist known as the Fiend. But recently, we've come to find out that the Deathless is a ex SOCT member named Yosef Okada. I have made a couple of videos talking about it. Recently. Let me go see if I can pull it up real quick. We must prepare? Oh, no. I have a video called I Was Wrong About the Deathless. It's from October 28th. That's probably the one that covered it. Oh, is it out yet? Is there actually a New Eden News now? I went and checked. There is a new New Eden News. Let's go ahead and do that as soon as I'm done with the probing. I just want to verify that all of these signatures, whether or not they are all the same site or if they are different sites or whatever. Because they said Relic Analyzer and Data Analyzer. I assume that the Data Analyzer for a different site. Concord interference or interface multi-open functionality. Wow, crate enthusiast. Oh, yes, no, that is a big piece of the patch notes today, guys. And this is probably something for the fishing event. Those of you who have been doing events for quite some time, they give us these crates, and then you have to open each crate individually, and it's been a giant pain in the ass for years now. You know, for those of us who do like the events and stuff that end up with a bunch of the crates, like there's this idea that like, oh, it's dopamine to open up the crates, but when you've got like 50 of them and they all have like 5 million ISK in them, it's not the dopamine hit that they want it to be. And so finally with this patch, they made it so that once you open up your first crate, you can then open up the rest of your crates all in one giant block, which is a giant, huge quality of life bonus to all of this. And almost is certainly related to the fishing, the deep flow rifts, because that ends up with a bunch of the boxes. You notice I don't actually fill up the entire bubble with my scanner probes because I don't care if it is somewhat outside of the bound, because if there's an echo or a ring, I can narrow it in even better, right? So, and because this was near the edge of my thing, I can put it a little bit closer to the where it was than what it says it is and hope that the jitter is correct there. And it was... Boom. You notice I paid attention to where it was in the previous one versus where my guess was in order to help narrow it down the exact location based on the jitter of the scan. I have tutorial videos on how to scan. Oh, hey, a wormhole. Something different. What's that? Nothing of importance. Make sure before we end the stream that you like the stream and share it with a friend, but also subscribe to the channel. I cover EVE Online stuff. As soon as it comes out, we do streams multiple times a week, as well as edited videos. We're currently doing a How to Play EVE in 2025 series. I did my weapons recording last week, although just like we did with the previous one, I'm going to have to record probably an addendum, but I'm finishing my first pass. Man, this stuff takes a long time to talk about. So my video about weapons is like 2 hours long. So I'm trying to edit it down while at the same time taking notes about anything I might have missed. Like I'm going to want to cover ammo a lot better than I did in that video, so I'm going to make an addendum to it. But that'll be tomorrow or next week. The idea that I was going to come out with one of these a week, I think is I don't know about all that. So yeah, all of these are the same relic site. Thanks, Voldonus. And this is a normal wormhole. Oh, it's a high-sec to high-sec wormhole. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and finish the day with some New Eden news. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. This is your New Eden news for January 30th, YC127, cluster in crisis as drifters attack. Drifters attack systems across the cluster. Drifter-controlled forces have attacked solar systems in all 4 major nations. The attacks have focused on civilian infrastructure, triggering the deployment of military crisis response forces. Initial strikes by the drifters have already led to a death toll in the thousands, with that number expected to climb as violence continues. The motivation behind the drifters' aggression is unclear. The targeted systems are of little strategic significance. There are no signs of permanent occupation, and no resources are being extracted by either the drifters or the sleeper drones under their control. The only clue to the drifters' goal is the surveillance structures at the heart of their efforts. Named Vigilant Dreamers, these structures appear to be the focal point of drifter activity in affected systems. Defending forces are attempting to gather sufficient intel to pinpoint and ultimately destroy these dreamers. Military leaders of the Amar, Caldari, Galente, and Mimitar alike have called upon Capsuleers to aid them in their counteroffensives against what is called the Drifter Crisis. Operations are being broadcasted to Capsuleers from Crisis Systems via their Air Opportunities interface. Galente districts adapt with Federation support. Although the Federation districts have been thrown into turmoil by drifter strikes, local administrations have been forced to reorganize using emergency procedures put in place by President Celis Agard's crisis management team. Today's attacks have silenced many who question President Agard's decision to postpone the Federation's regularly scheduled elections. Only the Federalist Liberal Party has remained vocal in their criticism, accusing the president of using the atmosphere of fear to disrupt the lawful democratic process. Her own party, the Progressive Unionists, have dismissed these claims, praising Agard for putting the defense of the Federation first. The president herself spoke at a press conference in Luminaire today, praising the, quote, dedication and bravery of those who have taken up the fight against the drifters. When questioned, she was reluctant to give a definitive answer to the rescheduling of the election, stating that this crisis has only just begun. Caldari State stands as one in face of threat. Speaking aboard a Chimera-class carrier, Chairman Akimaka Saraki has commented on the Caldari Navy, commended the Caldari Navy for its speedy deployment to all systems of conflict. He added that, quote, the very best of the state cannot be distracted from their sworn duty, end quote. Some political pundits took comments as a disparaging reference to those who criticized the CEP for relying on Galente intel. Saraki issued a second statement dismissing the analysis as disruptive and unfounded. This statement began, quote, we are one Caldari. Never is this truer than when we find ourselves tested by unprecedented times. As long as we stand as one, none may stand against us. Holders invest at Empress's behest. Across the Amar Empire, newly deployed joint holder assets have moved to meet drifter forces. Organized in secret, these newly formed armadas pool the resources of local nobility to enable timely countermeasures. Able to respond more rapidly than Imperial forces, they are part of a strategy that puts responsivity first. Empress Cadis I has been credited with this logistical innovation. In an empire-wide broadcast, she commended all Amarian citizens for their fortitude in the face of darkness. She called on all faithful to band together against the demonic aberrations that plague our skies. In years past, these same monstrosities breached our borders and murdered our holy Empress Jamil I. They caught us by surprise, but this time we are ready to show them the truth of our Lord's will. Republic scrambles to respond. The Republic fleet has scrambled to defend the Republic fleet has scrambled to defend clan holdings under attack. Thucker Chief Anar Abdul has criticized Samatar Malatu Shakur and the Tribal Council for failing to heed the tribal's warning of a rising drifter threat. Quote, "We who wander are tired of being overlooked," he told reporters. "It brings me great sorrow that innocent Matari must now pay a high price for the Republic's foolishness." The Samatar has deflected these criticisms, saying that, quote, "Now is the time for unity. Despite what Able might think, the Republic fleet is always ready to defend our people. We should be focused on how to support them, not casting aspersions." Deathless Circle blamed by SOCT. As the nations of New Eden respond to Drifter threat, their representatives are being hosted at an emergency Concord summit in Uli. As diplomats headed into session, the Society of Conscious Thought elder mentor Matashi Reich spoke to the press, laying the blame on the ongoing crisis at the feet of the Deathless Circle. Quote, "These drifter attacks are the direct result of Deathless and its circle's reckless hubris. Their occupation of the Fulcrum and Warden structures have clearly awoken a threat that long lay dormant. Through their interference with technology beyond their understandings, they have unleashed a tragedy upon our cluster." End quote. Rumors have spread that the Deathless Circle are attempting to take advantage of the current situation by deploying research outposts within crisis systems, only to come under attack by the drifters themselves. While calls to aid have been registered, military forces are encouraging Capsuleers to bring any research produced at Circle facilities to national intelligence agencies and not to aid the criminal organization. News in briefs. New rifts appear across New Eden. SSOCT detects new conflict zones in abyssal deep flows. Massive destruction in Molten Heath as Capsuleers go head-to-head. Concord interface multi-open functionality wows crate enthusiasts. Voluva suspended in many Mimitar clans in response to drifter attacks. Voluval suspended in many Mimitar clans in response to drifter attacks. Mountain faction leads state military and civilian relief fundraising initiatives. Amar Drifter War veterans account for record number of reenlistment. Archaeologists confused by temporary emergences of Jovian relics in crisis systems. And that is it for your New Eden news on this January 30th, YC127. A little bit of analysis. Obviously, this is the ongoing drifter attacks that we've been warned about starting late last year, which is an escalation of what we've seen between the drifters and the Triglavians over the last year, thanks to the Deathless's interactions with the Warden and the Fulcrum. They have attacked the Zarzak itself, and now it appears to be a global attack across the cluster. And a lot of these responses are directly a result of the responses that they gave in the previous news article. So, the Galente were the ones that put out their big announcement. So they seem to be the most ready with their plans. The Mimitar were more dismissive of the threat, and so they are kind of being criticized for not being prepared. Whereas, for instance, the Caldari were prepared, but they got kind of accused of relying on Galente intelligence, but they claimed that they had their own intelligence. So this is just kind of each of the empires stating their position with what's going on. The only thing that's really interesting about this, and of course, the SSCT are blaming the Deathless Circle for this. We know now that the Deathless himself is a former SOCT member, so one could argue that all of this is an SOCT crisis. I do find it interesting that they are calling this the Drifter crisis when I've been calling this whole thing between the Drifters and the Triglavians the Precursor crisis for quite some time. In addition to this, we do have the Abyssal Deep Flow rifts that have been spawning, and especially because of the deep flow rifts and the crates that they provide, they did add multi-open functionality to various reward crates for things like deep flow rifts or other events and things that give you a crate. Instead of having to open them one at a time, you can use multi-open. Mountain faction is the largest of the different factions. It's Calakiota and Sugavesta. They have a lot of real estate and food and infrastructure in what they're built, so it kind of makes sense that they would be the ones that lead these kinds of things. They're the most prepared and the most kind of on the spot to deal with attacks on infrastructure, whereas the Ocean faction is more related to the hypernet and Jada and expert systems, and the Forest faction. Wait, no, I'm wrong. Forest faction, I think, is the one that's more GDF oriented, and then the Ocean faction is the one that's more about building new structures within the war zone and dealing with faction warfare and stuff, if I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, let me know down below. But but that's it for today's analysis and New Eden news. Let me know, is this exciting to you? The drifters have finally returned, as we were afraid that they were going to. This definitely represents kind of the full-scale return of the drifter plotline. Are you guys excited about this? Are you going to be helping out the Deathless? Are you going to be helping out the Empires? Obviously, there have been some people asking me whether or not we're going to be able to help out the Drifters. CCP has made it pretty clear that they want Drifters to be the big bad end guy for the whole game. So chances are we won't be able to necessarily help out the Drifters per se, but we can help out the Empires or the Deathless, depending on which one they are. And in fact, some of the sites even allow you to directly do that. How much these sites are going to influence the future, whether or not these are going to escalate further, they've already suggested that they are. But in order to know about them as soon as they do, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because here we talk about all things EVE Online, and I am here to put EVE into context for you, my fellow Empyreans, because a more informed player base makes a better game, and that's what we're all about. So until next time, I have been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and I'll see you in space. All right, guys, I think that's about it. What are the Jovian relics? Well, there's Jovian relics in around the observatories, but there's also those other Jovian relics that have been appearing that we saw, like the records and stuff from the old days that are before YC and all that stuff. So there are other relics to have. Am I going to be testing combat sites today? Hold on. My echo decided to go off. My hope is that we're going to be testing sites today. I should be recording those. We'll talk about that more, I think tomorrow, probably tomorrow, if not next week. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so that way you get it there, and head on over to the Discord to get involved ASAP, because we need more people to come and fight the Drifter Menace. All that said, I think that should about wrap it up for today. I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I will see you in space, fighting the Drifters. Ooh! Oh, damn it! Oh, damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! You're right. Okay, so if those Jovian observers... Oh, shit! Oh, God! I just realized it. Oh, my God. I just realized the big news. Hold on. Never mind. Screw that. We've got one more thing we got to do today. Screw ending the stream. We're not ending the stream yet. Fuck that. We got more to do. I just realized something. We're going to test one more thing today, okay? What we're going to do, so why is these things coming from the observatories? What are these things coming from the observatories? Where are the gleaned stuff coming from? Well, gleaned stuff... Whoa. I think I just warped through a site. So gleaned. Can I spell? Gleaned. Yeah, gleaned directive, gleaned correspondence. That's what these things are, right? Okay, hold on. But the word gleaned is a thing. Hold on. Gleaned. I don't have any? I don't own any? Being too lazy to close the browser tab just paid off. From the hacking sites. But that's what I just did, right? I just did the hacking site. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So there's a piece to this I'm missing, and I think I just figured it out. They probably already figured it out, but I think I just figured it out. So I want to test it. Yeah. Wizard, that's literally the site that we just did. But if you notice, we didn't get any gleaned information, right? We only got those records, right? But we didn't get the gleaned stuff. I think I know how to get the gleaned stuff. Because the way you get gleaned information, the old gleaned information. So this is gleaned information, which has records down here. You can see the records. These things, which cannot be found, like just searched for on the browser or in the in-game. You have to own them. These are only gotten by using the Entosis link on the observatory. So what we're going to do is we're going to get an Entosis link, and we're going to put it on this fucking thing, and we're going to go to one of those observatories, and we're going to go and Entosis it. And we're going to see if that's what works. I do not need an Entosis 2. And I need some Straunt. Right? It's Straunt? Pretty sure it's Straunt. There we go. This is going to be a bad idea. Who needs hit points, right? Yeah, it takes Straunt. Wow. Okay, so now there's 12 different sites. So they're spreading rapidly. There's 12 different systems under attack now. 3 Galente, 3 Amar. So yeah, it's probably 3 of each. Looks like 2 high sec and a low sec for each. Looks like 2 high sec and a low sec for each race. I got one of the new gleaned items from the observatory sites. Wait, how, Velen? It was in a can? So are you suggesting I just got unlucky? Well, we're going to at least try. We're going to try the Entosis link before we head out. Just so we say we can't. We did. Okay. So I just got unlucky and didn't get one from a can. Luckily, we'll know pretty quickly whether or not it even makes any sense. You ran one of these sites you ran 3 of these sites for 2.5 million each. I guess the gleaned ones are 3 million, right? So that one thing is worth more than the entire site combined. So stupid. They really need to just add an extra 0. I hope that the 50,000 a record is so bad compared to everything else historically that they've done. Your unmoored Jovian Observatory is too far away. Okay, that's 20,000. Okay. You cannot activate Entosis link on unmoored Jovian Observatory as it's not susceptible to those effects. Okay, great. I was wrong. I just wanted to double check to make sure I wasn't crazy. So it's just a random drop from the cans. The site doesn't look too hard once you understand it, so it might be worth it, but like it's so little compared to like I said, a single can be worth 5 of these sites. Why is there so many bad things? Wait, why is there why? Wait. What is happening? Wait. What was outside? There's just a bunch of shit next to the customs office? Are there roaming packs? There's just a bunch of dudes? Let's lose an expensive thing. God, this is dumb. Don't do this, guys. Yep, they are definitely engaging me. Huh. They're not repositioning, though. So their fastest guy is traveling. Wow, that one. Their fastest guy is a battleship traveling at 400. So I'm moving way faster than all of them. That's just the probes for the dude. I'm still very interested in what drifters are looking for. Sure, they're looting observatories. Well, they're moving observatories in. Like, in theory, they're the ones putting the observatories in. They're like warping space-time to bring observatories into place. And clearly, they're just roaming in these sites, in these systems. I cannot see them on D-scan, though. So, if I just warp to a random belt, is there a chance that, like, I just get whacked by a bunch of these dudes? Well, luckily, there's only one belt to go check out. More dudes showing up, too. The drifters reviving the jet droving infrastructure. Well, yeah, I mean, like, that's kind of been what we suspect is going on for a while now. Okay, so this belt is fine. There doesn't appear to be anything unusual happening here. I wonder if there's only certain places that they go. This one has a temperate planet. Let's see, beacons. So one of the things that's worth noting about this particular system, this system is a drifter attack system, right? It's under drifter. It's a drifter crisis system. It does not have a Jovian observatory in here. So the theory that this was going to be associated with Jovian observatory systems seems to be incorrect. This system doesn't have a Jovian observatory in it. We also check suns. That is also random. Okay, so we haven't seen a pattern emerge of why they're attacking these particular systems. Although I will say that, like, a lot of these systems are names that I know, right? Like Odot is a common one. Arden, I think I've seen that. Hysteria. Oix, that comes up a lot, especially in faction warfare. Not all of these are big deals, but it does look like it's 2 high sec, 1 low sec per empire. And it's hard to find a balance other than that, or like a cause, a pattern. Field rescue? What does that one mean? What are the instructions for this one? Oh, we can look at the text. I tried to stop my stream. Today is not a stop the stream kind of day, apparently. We didn't even look at the strings. What is this thing? Is there no message that's popping up? Wait, what? What? Hold on. What is this site? What am I at? A field rescue? Let's go in and die. Observatories are one piece of the equation. Whoa. Okay. Don't kill me. Yay! Didn't kill me. But why nuke stations? I don't think that they're nuking the station though, right? They have their special nuke stations where it's like they have a station where the people inside are being irradiated. Okay. So we have sleepers at the sun. We have sleepers at the sun. We have sleepers at the sun. Now I just want to fucking fight the sleepers at the sun. They have bounties. These sleepers have bounties. What could they be looking for? I'm assuming new ways to get into the either new ways to get into the warden or something. Those dudes are attacking me from 11,000 meters away. 11,000 kilometers away. That's... Hey, man. The Tecton Drifter has a bounty. Yes, yeah. No, these are the road. These are the sleepers from those sites. From like I'm almost positive these are the same exact ones that we've seen in the Drifter sites for the last couple of weeks. All right. Now I think I'm going to wrap things up for the day so that way we can do some more research offline. Like I said, please join the Discord if you want to participate. I'm sure we'll be doing more. But I've been Asher Rothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even context for you, my fellow players. Thank you guys so much for checking out the stream. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my future videos. Check out the past videos. Especially if you guys have been watching my newer videos about how to play Eve, just realize that I have tons of instructional videos. I have an entire playlist about it, including a 6-hour fitting master guide that goes over everything that we're going to be going over this year when it comes to fitting. So you can get it all ahead of time right now just by watching those videos, as well as many, many more. So with all that said, I will see you next time. But I've been Asher Rothi, the voice of New Eden. Until next time, I'll see you in space. Let's do it for real this time.
Bring on the wrecking machine. Every city burn, I'm gonna build high. Bring on the wrecking machine, setting your dreams of heaven on fire. Bring on the wrecking machine. Bring on the wrecking machine. Bring on the wrecking machine. Gonna ignite your every desire. Bring on the wrecking machine. For every city you burn, let it burn, let it burn, let it burn. For every city